Right, so a while ago, before SRAM released a new fancy transmission drivetrain and a 12-speed axis system, they had the 11-speed drivetrain system, which I believed had a hierarchy from NX, GX, X1, and then XX1. And I recently bought the SRAM 11-speed NX drivetrain for, I believe, 2000 Rand or about 120 cheeseburgers, and I thought I should just try it because the previous drivetrain that I had was a 10-speed Shimano Dior M something, and it wasn't shifting really well. It could be a combination of factors, like for instance the fact that I wasn't using the proper 10-speed Shimano Dior cassette. It was a Bravos cassette, which is a Chinese off-brand, and the clutch was way too strong. Every time I had to shift to a harder gear, the pedal shock was so bad it would make me slip off the pedal. So this is my trusty steed that I've had for about 5 years, and before it became this metamorphosis, it used to have a Shimano 20 3x7 drivetrain with mechanical disc brakes and very, very cheap tires that started to lose their thread, as you might see on this tire, which I'm soon to replace with a Maxxis Icon. I'm just waiting for shipment. So anyway, back to the 10-speed Shimano Dior drivetrain. It was shifting very rough because of how strong the clutch was. And as much as I tried to adjust the clutch, it was just too powerful, and the cassette just made it a whole lot worse. So I eventually sold that cassette and I bought this SRAM NX 11-speed cassette with the matching 11-speed 11 to 42 tooth cassette, and then also the matching stylo narrow wide chainring. And then I'm not sure which chain this is, and it's been working surprisingly well. I haven't had such severe pedal shocks, perhaps because the clutch isn't that strong, so maybe it's a better combination of tension and also a bit of looseness. But as you can see, this frame has been destroyed by the Shimano 20. It had a lot of chain slap, and before I knew, I never had a chainstay guard, something that I should probably still get. And what I particularly like about the SRAM NX Raider is the fact that you can knock it out. Where is it? Like that. And it makes it much easier to release the wheel if you need to replace a tube, if you're running tubes, or if you just want to do some general maintenance. And then when you want to put it back, simply do that, and voila, you can ride it again. I don't know if you can see, but the derailleur hanger is slightly out of alignment, so I might need to replace it very soon. I tried to bend it, but I really don't want to bend it too much because of how brittle alloy can be. The more you bend it, the weaker it gets. So I've left it like this for now, but it seems to be straight enough. And as far as the shifter goes, it is quite a bit different from the generic 10-speed Shimano Dior shifter, whereas this particular shifter can switch up to 5 gears, but you almost have to break your thumb to get to the 5th gear. So if you're someone who might have smaller hands or a shorter thumb, this might be a bit of a problem, since the NX level doesn't have an adjustable lever that could make it easier for you to reach it. Another key difference between the Shimano Dior 10-speed shifter and this NX shifter is the fact that you can only downshift by pressing it once at a time, and it has a lot more tactile feedback as well. And the Shimano Dior can downshift in either direction with this particular lever. This specific crankset is a square tapered bottom bracket, which does make it a bit, well, I'd say significantly smoother than the cranksets you would get with the hollow bottom brackets. And I feel that it's been a bit more reliable and less creaky, whereas the SNX crankset that I had, which was not compatible with this frame at all, did work really well, but it did shift the chain a bit more outwards and made the pedal back on the largest cog make the chain move to a harder gear, something that made me realize that the SNX really wasn't compatible with the frame. So I had to make the decision to sell it to someone who would use it for a better purpose, whereas I would have just used it to ride around in the yard as I usually do. So as you can see, the chain from the chainring is almost completely straight with the biggest cog, whereas with the SNX it would have been more outward, putting more tension on each pivot of the change, possibly wearing it quicker. Now with regards to this NX derailleur, it doesn't have the sealed bearings in the pulley wheels that the GX or higher has, but it does seem to run smooth enough, and because it's plastic it does make less noise than some derailleurs might make that are made of, say, titanium or other metals. And another key feature I would like to add is that the derailleur really can't be knocked out completely when it's on the largest cog, which would make it harder to remove the wheel, but in all honesty you really should be putting it in the smallest cog and then locking out the clutch to remove the wheel. You might be wondering what that brown piece is on my tire. Well, that was cat poo that got onto the tire when I got onto the grass. We seem to have a lot of cats that are roaming around here, but as we shift down the cassette, I'm using my foot to downshift. It is smooth enough, but it definitely does seem to have more and more pedal shock as you shift more and more down the cassette. Whereas if you were to shift down, well, up in this case, you can do it relatively quickly by hand, not by foot like me, but it's pretty smooth. Smooth enough, I'd say, for most people, if you're not a competitive athlete. Now, to demonstrate the difference between shifting from the biggest to the second biggest cog with regards to pedal kickback, and from the second smallest to the smallest with regards to pedal kickback, and then shifting from the second smallest to the smallest. Did you hear that? That's a noticeable difference with regards to pedal kickback. I'm not sure what the cause might be, but I think it's just because of the increasing amount of chain growth as the chain moves down the cassette. Or maybe it might be a cause of wear, because I did buy this cassette and group set second hand. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I will also do a long-term review of this group set to see if it holds up in different environments. Thank you for watching, and subscribe if you liked the video. Ciao.